Okay. You know what? Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Welcome back to Riffin with Griffin. This is Riffin with Griffin. Anyways, y'all, welcome back to Riffin with Griffin. It's been a week since the infamous slap. I want to see how we feeling today after a week. I'm going to talk about that, give you a little bit of my thoughts there. My good buddy Jerrod Carmichael put out a piece of art, man. Just a work of art, and I want to talk about that, give him his flowers. And I went and saw the movie Morbius, this new Marvel Sony edition of the movie, and I'm going to give you a piece of that, and we'll see how I'm feeling about that. Other than that, welcome back to Riffin with Griffin. Whoa. This is Riffin with Griffin. And we're Riffin with Griffin. Riffin with Griffin. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, welcome back to Riffin with Griffin. Riffin with Griffin, we ain't spliffing. Riffin with Griffin Nation, welcome. We are live. We are live right now on YouTube. So welcome to the Riffin with Griffin show. But first, before we even start that, let's pay some bills. Shout out right now to Helix Sleep. Take their 2-minute sleep quiz and they'll match you to the mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Find your perfect mattress at helixsleep.com/Griffin. All right, y'all, welcome to the show. And excuse me, and make sure you subscribe. I really appreciate that when you hit the subscribe button. Subscribe, share it, do all the things that people do, to help support a podcast. So do all that stuff, man. So I appreciate that. And I never talk about this enough, but I also have the Erik Griffin store. Erik Griffin store. I got Erik Griffin gaming merch. I got just funny merch that I have in there. If you want to support me, get a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a mug. I love the mugs. So look out for that. I got it pinned right now. So if you want to go to the Erik Griffin store, I got a link in the thing. So check that out. And also, as always, I'm on Twitch daily. Erik Griffin Gaming, if you want to watch me play. Excuse me. And this Saturday, if you play Warzone, I'm doing private matches with the fans and friends. So if you come to my channel Saturday morning, you'll see me signed in, and then you'll see how you could join the match. And I play, we want to try to get 100 people in there so we could do the main Warzone map. So if you're into that and you want to play with me, come to the channel and we'll do that. All right. So anyways, and like I say, I got the store right there. So check me out if you're interested in getting t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. All right. But anyways, welcome back to Riffin with Griffin, y'all. I was just in Texas. I was in San Antonio, Texas. Shout out to LOL Comedy Club. Had some great shows. They really were. I really felt like the people were there for comedy, and they felt good about comedy, and they wanted to be there, and they were ready to experience all the things that comedy had to offer. So shout out to all the people that showed up. And, so that was good. San Antonio is San Antonio. It was hot one day, cold, like humid, hot. It is what it is. But we had a great time. Shout out to my opener, Leah Lamar. She came out there with me, and she's funny. Check her out. And yes, this is live chat. So if you're in the chat right now on YouTube, we are live, so if you have a decent question you want to ask, you can put it in there right now. If you have something to say, I'm right there. I accept super chats and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to support the show, please support the show. There's links on the YouTube page to support if you want to support with PayPal, whatever you want to do it. And also don't forget about my Patreon too. I forgot about that. Patreon, I got some stuff coming out for that too, man. I do have a Patreon at Erik Griffin. Patreon at Erik Griffin. Patreon at Erik Griffin. So if you want to be a part of that, supporting me there too, you could do that too, man. So I appreciate all the support. I'm trying to do my thing. Check me out on Gen to Gen is coming back probably in May. So I still got that podcast with my buddy Matthew Espinoza. He's 25, I'm 50, and we just talk about the different generations. And as always, you can catch me on King of the Sting. I know there's everybody's like, I don't know what's going on with King of the Sting. Still on King of the Sting. Recorded an episode today. I got the same shirt on, so it is what it is. Whenever that episode comes out, so there's 3 episodes that are 2 episodes we already filmed with me that are coming out. So make sure you check me out on that too. So. Anyways, welcome back to Riffin with Griffin. So this is what I wanted to talk about. So I was in, so it's been a week. It's been a week since the infamous slap. Last week's episode, I went in. It was a complete hour on the Chris Rock tape. I even put some stand-up up. I had this 2-minute clip I put up because I was in my feelings about what happened. And now I've had a week to sit around and be like, how do I feel now about everything that happened? What are the implications of it? How is it going to affect our lives and all that? And I really have some thoughts about it, man. I do have some thoughts about it. So here's what I'm thinking now. So it's been a week, right? So, and everybody knows, and people are kind of sick of talking about it and all that too. I think it was one of those things that was so wow, and it was everywhere. And then people kind of that's how we are. We like to move on from shit quick, and I get that. But I wanted to talk about, because me being at this comedy club and how I feel like it affected the shows. Because here's something that I was thinking. The silver lining of what happened, right? The silver lining for comedy, for comics. So let's say Will Smith doesn't slap him, and he just has a look on his face. Him and his wife were upset about this nothing joke, right? Let's say. You know what would have happened? The next day, I think Chris Rock would have been dragged through the mud, and it would have been a whole thing about whatever the disease, whatever the minor disease she has with when you lose your hair, right? What minor, whatever. Maybe you think it's major. I'm not going to downplay it. Whatever she has that she's bald and it affects her life. Okay. All right. So let me not downplay that. I think that it would have been bad for comics, and it would have been more attacks on comics in terms of this oversensitivity, overcorrection with comics. This whole thing about what you can and cannot say, how everybody nitpicks the things that you say to the point where they assume your intent. They assume your intent, and they think your intent is the worst possible thing ever, and they attack you for that. I think that if Will Smith had not gotten up and made a fool of himself, that would have been the thing. It would have been bad for comics, because it would have been another thing where it's comedians are going too far, and it would have been I think that would have been, he wins. Him and his wife win. Instead, he did this thing where he slapped him. I think that benefits comics, and I'll tell you why. Because I think that slap woke everybody up. I think it woke everybody up. I think everybody looked at this and went, oh, man, I think we're overreacting. It was just a joke. Why are we I think people saw what Will Smith did and went, oh, that's not a good look. I don't think it was that serious for just a small, simple joke. And I think everybody's been acting that's how they've been acting. They've been acting in their minds, they act like, oh, comedy's going too far. And I think they just reminded us that it's just a show, that it's just a joke. It's just for fun, and that the intention is not so terrible as they think, because what actually happened, the result, no one wants to do that. No one wants to be somebody who is revered and looked at as someone who's a good person and then see the worst of them over a joke. And I think that everybody now is like, oh, wow, I think we went too far. And I think people are starting to be like, oh, I actually just want to go watch comedy again and laugh at the world, laugh at things. And I think that that's a good thing. I think the silver lining in this is people are wanting to see comedy again. I think people have been like, oh, man, what makes people feel so this range of emotions like comedy? And I think that now, Chris Rock's tour sold out, people want to go see what he has to say. And I think people that are showing up to comedy clubs now, for the most part, are like, yeah, they're supportive. They're like, you know what? This is just jokes and funny. And I think the people that find they can't take a joke, stay home. Comedy's not for you, and it's okay. Just like I don't like spoken word poetry, I'm not going to a spoken word poetry jam and then complaining about spoken word poetry. So I think it's like, if you don't like comedy, stay home. I don't want to see you at the comedy gig. I think you should just stay home. But the people that are into it, go with an open heart and open mind and realize, we're going to talk about all kinds of different things. And it's all about intent and perspective. Like, just going back to the incident, you have to ask yourself, what is the premise you're arguing from? There's two different premises. First premise, that Chris Rock is a mean-spirited person who was trying to hurt their feelings and ruin their night. If that's the premise you're going with, when I'm speaking to you, I need to know that that's your premise, that that's what you believe. That's what you believe. And so now I know when I'm talking to you, that's what you believe, so I understand what the venom is coming from. If my premise that I believe is the guy was just poking fun and he made a little innocuous dad joke at their expense because that's what he does at the Oscars and that's why they had him here. Because if I believed he was a mean-spirited person, do you think that's the joke he would have done? So if Chris Rock is a terrible, mean-spirited person, do you think that's the joke he would have done? Like, that's the premise? Like, of all the things he could talk about, all of Will Smith and their business that's in the streets, that's out in public consumption, do you think if he was a mean-spirited person that a G.I. Jane joke would be the joke he would have went with? So I don't believe that premise. I believe it was just what it was, nothing. Okay? So you have to acknowledge on the other side that this is the possibility. That the possibility is that you're overreacting. And I'll take into consideration, okay, I see what you believe. You believe that this was the worst thing he could have possibly done, and he was a terrible person, mean-spirited, and he was trying to ruin everything, okay? I understand you believe that. I don't believe that, okay? So then now we know where we're at. We can agree to disagree, but hopefully you can also see this side of it too. You know what I mean? All right, before I continue, let me shout out, thank you so much for the super chats. OMI Queen, thank you. Misinformed. Okay, I like that, misinformed. I don't know if that's a girl, but that's a great name if that's a girl. And Raquel, wow, I feel like it's all ladies giving me the support. What's going on, fellas? Get with it. Thank you for the super chats. I appreciate the support for the show. It really helps me, and it helps grow the show. And everybody hit the likes, hit the shares. You know what I mean. Hit the subscribes and all that, and so we could grow Riffin with Griffin and make it bigger than ever. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. So anyways, so you have to just you have to ask yourself. So I think that there's like a feeling right now of like, I think we were slapped. I think the whole country was slapped. And I think it's like clearly like, I want to go see comedy, it's like, I'm of the feeling, and this is my intent, I talk about a lot of different things. Like, I got a bit up on my Instagram right now about, like, from my 2017 special, The Ugly Truth, where, I the premise I set up is just basically, it's like, people are fat. And it's like, being fat, to me, okay, if you want to be fat, right? But, like, it makes things harder. Like, if you're also trying to be, whatever you're trying to do in life, being fat doesn't it's not easier to be fat. If it's something mental, yeah, but if you're like a crusader or you're trying to do something, it's harder to do it. It makes it more difficult. So that's the premise I set up. And then like the funny part is I picked someone like, Helen Keller. I said, well, if Helen Keller was fat, she's already deaf and blind, so I'm poking fun that way. And then I also use Anne Frank as an example. Like, what if Anne Frank was fat? You know what I mean? Like, she up in the attic, anyway, it's like, you could say I'm being mean-spirited, but I like using examples like that to really put home the point. But my intent, I'm of the belief that everyone should be talked about. Like, I'm the belief, like, I like talking about everyone. People with disabilities, I don't care, because I feel like if you have a disability and you're trying to live in society, then you want to be a part of society. And being a part of society is also being talked about. Like, I have jokes about people in wheelchairs, and always there's somebody in a wheelchair in my show, and they love it. Like, I'm talking about they want to take pictures afterwards. They're having a good time, because I'm not being mean-spirited. I'm making fun of everyone. I think everyone should be made fun of. I think everyone can be the butt of the joke. The levels of how you feel about it, or, you know, because I think people that are like, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking about that. I think that's a you problem. I think that's because you are the one making a judgment. Like, as if only normal people, I'm putting my air quotes up for the people listening, only normal people can be talked about, whatever that means. No, man. Like, if you got a disability and you out here just trying to do your job, I think you deserve criticism too. If you're on the job, you know what I mean? I don't care what your thing is, but you're on the job. So what not like a waiter that, like, you know, you got whatever disease or whatever you got is making it hard for you to walk or whatever. It's like, should you have that job? If you have the job, then you should be held accountable. So I'm of that feeling. My comedy is about holding everyone accountable, regardless of who you are or what's right or wrong with you. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's just my intent. So I have to, as a comic, find a way to say these words in a way that it doesn't come across, I don't know, mean-spirited, but there's always going to be people who's going to take it the wrong way. There's always going to be people who are going to be like, oh man, I don't like that you said that. Or you know, they always going to have this like weird intention. So, you know what I mean? It's like, what are you supposed to do, man? You know what I mean? Like, what are you supposed to do? So, you know, I don't know. You know, I don't know how to, you know, I don't know how to feel about it. I just have to, as a comic, you just have to do what you have to do. You know what I mean? You just do it. And then you know you're not going to please everybody. You know, it would be like having like, so now before I do a show, I have to like I have to pass out a survey before I start the show. And I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to talk about this. Does this trigger anyone? And then like, everybody in the crowd has to be like, oh, yeah, there's like two people like, yeah, I'm triggered. And you're like, oh, okay, well, we can't talk about that. We'll take that off the list. Okay, well, I want to talk about, work, and people are like, well, you know, I'm kind of triggered by that because I had a bad week at work. Okay, so we can't talk about work. All right, I want to talk about people with kids. Oh, you know what? I have kids, and I think that's, that's rude. And you're like, okay, so we can't talk about kids. Like, if we did that, what could we talk about? Like, how boring would that be? You know, I feel like comedy is supposed to like inspire, or comedy is supposed to rattle your thinking, or comedy is supposed to make you laugh at something that you wouldn't normally laugh at. I mean, isn't that what you think? Like, you know, if you're in the chat right now, what is comedy to you? Like, what is comedy to you? And you'll see from what people are writing in the chat, you're listening right now, or in the comments right now, what is comedy to you? Sometimes it's people that are like, you know, some people like the shocking stuff. Some people like super dirty jokes. Some people are like, hey, I want clean, wholesome comedy. It varies. Like, everybody's got a different thing. You know, so what is it to you? Because it's a comic. Remember, we're one person in front of an audience of hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people, depending on where you're performing, or if you're on TV, millions of people. Like, how do you please everyone? There's no possible way. There's always going to be someone out there who's going to be like, oh man, I didn't appreciate that because of A, B, and C. So is it up to the comic to make sure that everyone that's watching feels good? Or you as an audience member, can you take some responsibility for your own feelings? And maybe be like, oh, you know what? This isn't for me, and let me just maybe not watch anymore or move on from this. I mean, you know, could that be the thing? You know, I don't know. You know, of course, like sometimes it's edgy to some people. Like some people are saying here, something like somebody say Justin D is saying comedy is saying naughty things. You know, there's some people that believe that. Like, you go to a comedy show because you want to hear something nasty. You know, like the comic's going to talk about sex, or, you know, some people think that comedy, they want satire, or they want to have some sort of cerebral thought process. They want it to be like highbrow comedy that makes you go, ooh, like some people like the golf clap comedy where they go, oh, that was brilliant what you just said. Some people like that, you know, but I think comedy is changing. You know, comedy is changing. This idea of comedy specials is changing. Like, what is a comedy special? Is it like, I'm old school, so I'm like traditional. I like the idea of like just being funny, making people laugh, telling solid jokes, having a point of view, and hitting it, making people just enjoy themselves. But that's changing. It's changing. I mean, there is no right or wrong way. I mean, with so many comedy specials, so many outlets for comedy, how can one way of thinking be correct? You got Comedy Central, HBO, you got Amazon, you got Epics, you got so many, Netflix, you got so many places that's so much comedy. There's going to be overlap. There's going to be like, oh, I've seen this before. I've seen this joke before. I've seen this style before. So now it becomes like, is it personal to that person? And I say all this to talk about right now a comedy special that I just watched, okay? I just watched a comedy special, and I don't even know if I can even call this a comedy special, but a comedy special from my good friend. This is one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Jerrod Carmichael. I've known Jerrod Carmichael now over 10 years. I consider him like he literally is one of my best friends. And he put out a comedy special on HBO. You can see it right now. It's called Rothanial, and it is one of the most beautiful pieces of art I've ever seen. Shout out to Bo Burnham, who was the director of this. And it was just shot beautifully. I mean, I could appreciate so many things about this comedy special, and I want to give my friend his kudos, his flowers, because there's so many different things that I loved about this. I loved the music. I loved the choices. I loved the intro. The intro was this sweeping, dramatic scene. It opens up with a light, a light pole, an outside lamp, and it's just, this beautiful shot with the snow coming down, and, with this beautiful jazz music playing in the background, and then you watching Jerrod like walk across the street. Then they shoot, you see from the outside of this great jazz club in New York, and he's like giving his coat and hat and jacket to his someone, and then he just goes right on stage, and the special starts. He sits down and he just starts talking, and he makes it like this super intimate environment with the crowd, where he's encouraging them like, hey, if you want to talk to me, and the whole special's about him being honest about himself, being honest, like really vulnerable and honest. He comes out of the closet, I already knew this about him, but like, now for the world, he just, and then he talks about how this has affected him and his family, and how he's looked at, and just how he's dealt with trauma in his life with his family. But it is just, and he's funny. Like, Jerrod is a very smart guy, and it's funny, but it's not a traditional comedy special. So I totally get if you don't like it. Like, if you are a person that wants to see traditional stand-up comedy, I get that you don't like it, all right? I loved it. I loved it because I love the artistic value of it, one. And two, I loved how honest he was in this. And it was like so original to him. Jerrod Carmichael is one of a kind. He is one of a kind. And so many people have tried to like imitate what he's done. For instance, Chris Rock in what was the special he just did? I'm never prepared. But like he just did a special, the Tambourine. That's what it's called. So he did a version of Tambourine, and Bo Burnham directed it. And I can tell that he was influenced by Jerrod Carmichael's previous special, 8. And it was like, I think that's why he got Bo to direct it. Hey, direct my special. I want to be intimate like that. But it wasn't one of Chris Rock's better specials. And he re-released it. He like re-edited the same special, and he put his stank on it. And it is one of his, like, it is so different. Like, I recommend you watch both. And you'll be like, wow, this is like, editing is a big deal. And it's like so much better because it's him. It's like what we love about him. And I realized this from watching that and seeing that experience that, because I've even watched Jerrod and thought like, man, I wish I could do that. Or why am I not more like this? And I realized that what he did is he put out a special that was so personal to him and original to him that's the inspiration. The inspiration is to be the best version of you, no matter what that is. Own you. Own what you do best. Be proud of it. Put that out, and bam. I was in the green room and because it was Saturday night that it came out, and then he was also on SNL. So, I'm watching it in the green room between shows, and I couldn't stop watching, and I was just like so emotional and moved because I know him so well. I really, I love this kid, and I was looking at it, and then I was like, now I have to go on stage. And I was really just like, oh my God, can I even do comedy again? I was just so, you know what I mean? You have these moments where you're just like, oh my God, like you see somebody do something that you admire, and you're just kind of like, oh man, what can I do? But it just really gave me some confidence to be more like, I'm me. I talk about things the way I talk about it. I pride myself on talking about things that people wouldn't necessarily talk about and make them funny or make it fun, even if I get under people's skin. I like to make like out there topics fun, and that's what I do. And I have to just appreciate that about myself and give it my all. Give it 100% me, authentic Erik Griffin, because this shit is getting like 8 woo-woos. That's how many woo-woos Rothaniel's getting. Jerrod Carmichael's special on HBO Max. I highly recommend you watch it. Even if you don't like this type of thing, watch it. And just feel the words that I'm saying, that it was just one of these things that's like totally authentically a person. And I've seen him grow. His first special was at the Comedy Store, live at the Comedy Store. And it was different. It was like, he has sort of like contempt for stand-up comedy because he don't want to do it the way people do it. And then he did this one 8. He called it 8, and it was like in the round at this place in New York. And I remember he opened up the special like mid-joke. Like, so the special opens and he's already telling a joke, like as if he's already been there like 40 minutes. And then he just goes into the thing, and then like it ends on like a cliffhanger, like what else are we going to talk about? And I remember it was critically acclaimed, and, it was just one of these things where you just go, wow, that was just fascinating. I think it was more him. And then he like directed Drew Michael's special that had no audience. And I wasn't a fan of that, but that to me was Jerrod putting his Jerrodness on other people. Like he's directed a Little Rail special live from Crenshaw, and it was like you saw a time lapse happen because like the sun was up, and then you saw the sun go down during the special. It was shot a certain way, but once again, that was a Jerrod thing. And I feel like those experiences he took from doing those specials and seeing other people and seeing how, and finally, like at 34 years old now, just being in the business, and now he just found a way to put out something that he was truly passionate about, that was truly personal, that was truly vulnerable. Like I'm telling you, don't go watch this looking at it like it's a comedy special. You got to go look at this as like, this is like a conversation this dude was having with us, like a super personal conversation. And my God, it was shot so beautifully. Like it was really shot well. Like kudos again to Bo Burnham, man. And if you've seen Bo Burnham stuff, like Bo has his own style he does for himself, but the dude has a way of just capturing the essence of the person and what they're trying to do, man. And it just, those two guys, they have the relationship they have, that conversation they have as a director and artist and producer, and all the things that the relationship they have with each other, that you see on screen, the result of it, it was magnificent. Okay. So kudos once again to those guys, and, shout out to, Jerrod Carmichael and my man. All right. Okay. So now, let me continue to pay some bills. Once again, shout out to Helix Sleep, y'all. A sponsor of the show, I have a Helix Sleep mattress, and I'm telling you, I love it. Every time I get back from off the road, I'm thinking about this mattress because I'm thinking about like how the hotel mattress is terrible. Getting a good night's sleep is so important. I go to this health place, Next Health. Shout out to them. And the thing they ask all the time, like when you go to the doctor, when you go to like any kind of preventative medicine place, they talk about three things all the time. They talk about your diet, all right? They talk about what's your sleep? Are you sleeping? And then they go to, are you exercising? And the order of importance of those things, it probably goes sleep, diet, and then exercise. So a good night's sleep is super important. So, and then like, with the stresses of everything that's been going on, you don't even realize that you're not getting a good night's sleep because of the thing that you're sleeping on. And when's the last time you even changed your mattress, guys? Helix Sleep has a 2-minute sleep quiz. You complete it. They match it to your body type and your sleep preference, and it's the perfect mattress for you. You don't got to go to a mattress store. You just go to Helix Sleep. I took the sleep quiz. I'm a side sleeper, and it's a perfect for me. So if you're looking for a mattress, you take the quiz, you order the mattress, and the mattress is matched to you, and they send it right to your door. Helix is awesome, but you don't got to take it from me. It was the #1 overall mattress pick for 2020 by GQ and Wired magazine. Just go to helixsleep.com/Griffin, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to the customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/Griffin. They have a 10-year warranty, and you get to try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up for you if you don't love it, but trust me, you will. That's helixsleep.com/Griffin. All right, y'all. So, after last week's dramatic episode where I was just going in about this stuff, I want to get back to something that I love to do. And what is that thing that I love to do, y'all? I love to, that's not it. I'm doing this by myself. I want to talk about this movie that I saw, okay? I want to talk about Morbius. What's the name of this movie? Is it Morbius? Yeah, Morbius. Let's talk about Morbius. It's starring, what's his name? Jared Leto. Jared Leto, Jared Leto, Matt Smith, Adria Arjona. Yeah, Morbius, man. I'm on the IMDb page now for everybody that's looking. I don't know. It got an IMDb rating of 5.2. It's just, it's in the Marvel universe. I've actually never heard of this Marvel character before. I'm not that deep into the Marvel world where I know all the like the B and C characters or the D characters from the Marvel universe. So I don't know, but let's talk about Morbius. So Morbius, his name's Michael Morbius, which is kind of ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like Michael Morbius. I don't know. It'd be like Erik Erroneous or something. I don't know. It'd be like it's a weird, like, why was his name Michael? I mean, I feel like this is one of those. I think this is one of Stan Lee's lazy characters that like they just dug into the well. Like Sony's like, oh, here's all the characters we own in our thing. Who can we make a movie about because the movies are so successful? And they were like, oh, let's pick this guy, and they get Jared Leto. I like Jared Leto. I think he's a really fantastic actor. I think his talents are misplaced sometimes. I think they put him in movies where you're just like, I don't know. Like when he was the Joker, I mean, the first iteration of his Joker, I think it was too much. But I thought there was some moments where I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And like I've said in past podcasts, I liked him in the Snyder cut of Batman at the end. I thought that version of his Joker was actually pretty good. But anyways, this is Morbius, who's like a doctor. So what's the premise of the movie? A biochemist, Michael Morbius, tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. My buddy Al Madrigal, shout out to Al Madrigal, owner of All Things Comedy, the people that put out my podcast. So shout out to them. Shout out to Al. Al's in this movie. He's really funny. Al's always a good comic relief. And then like Tyrese is in it. He always looks like the guy from Fast and the Furious. I know he is the guy from Fast and the Furious, but I'm saying even as a character, like, I don't know. like for some reason, like they're the only cops in this whole city. I mean, I'll be honest, this was not my favorite Sony Marvel movie. It just wasn't. The story had some holes. So like he's got this blood disease, and they kind of give like his origin story. And they have this other character, excuse me, his friend who also has this disease, and they're in like this sort of like care center, and then of course they're bullied and whatever. And then like cut to later, he's become this like world-renowned scientist, and he invented synthetic blood, and he's been trying to cure himself and his friend of this rare blood disease, and then he like works in that field. So somehow he discovers that vampire bats in like, of course they got to go to Costa Rica and some weird cave. And then he like, is splicing DNA, human DNA with bat DNA to sort of like, cure himself, and, and it goes haywire. And then like he becomes like this superpowered thing, which is like, I always reject this premise because I feel like, why wouldn't that have been figured out? And like why wouldn't we be splicing human DNA with other things to make ourselves better? And like he's the first scientist in 500 years to figure this out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm always like, okay, you know what I mean? Like even the Spider-Man one is like, they at least said these are genetically altered spiders, and one of them gets away and bites Spider-Man. So you're like, okay, you can sort of be like, well, all right, they're genetically altered and blah, 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 right? And that's why that happened. And but this one was just like, so he becomes a vampire, but not like a traditional vampire. And then it's like this really far-fetched story about, him and, this weird love interest, and then the friend gets it. And then like, it's just the story is so muddled. And then they like sort of set up a sequel, and you're just kind of like, what? And then it's sort of involved in the MCU. You have to wait and see later. Well, you already know Michael Keaton's in it, so it doesn't matter. So, like, Michael Keaton was in that last Spider-Man, which was Sony. So, there's, like, a crossover. So, I don't know if, like, they've completely removed, like, the Avengers people and Guardians of the Galaxy and, Thor and all the people that are left, and Black Widow's dead, but, Wanda and all these people. Like, I don't know if they've removed that completely, and now Sony and them are branching off, and, they've sort of removed Spider-Man because of the last movie. They've made it so they don't actually have to send him back because nobody remembers him, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, whatever the multiverse thing that happened, this is an extension of that, because the Michael Keaton character shows up, and I believe he's like the Goblin now, or I don't know. So he's there. So they set up that him and Morbius are going to be like partnered up, and but are they bad guys? I have no idea. It was so just far-fetched that I don't know. Like, I don't say don't watch it, but you don't have any expectations, man. Like, really lower your expectations, because it was just kind of blah. And you kind of hope, though, that because not all of the Marvel movies were great movies, especially the origin movies. Like Captain America, the first one, that wasn't a very good movie. 2 of the Thor movies were not good. You know what I'm saying? Like 2 of them suckers were not good, but they still put it, and then it turned into something great. And so now, so maybe they'll do this with this. And then like he made reference to Venom. So that means like, this is like Venom exists in this universe. So it's like, is there going to be some kind of Morbius Venom crossover? It's like, and then Spider-Man's going to be there. It's like, I don't know. So, we've already seen the best version of this. The best version of this is they set up for 13 years, the Avengers. It was great. We loved it. So now you just kind of be like, are they trying to do the same thing on Sony's side? And it's hard to tell. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know if this is, going to be this like, grand thing. I don't know how it did in the box office this past weekend, and I don't know if like, is it worth it, because these kind of movies with all the special effects are just so like, it's so expensive, right? And I haven't watched Moon Knight yet, so I'm gonna do that next week on the show, because I have to watch that. I think it's like a 6-part series, but that one I believe is more involved with the MCU with Eternals and all those. That's like the continuation of that. So we'll see how that's going to affect that universe. So it's hard to tell, like, I think our minds, like, it's hard to keep track of all this. And I think they're making a mistake, because it's like your mind is like, okay, is Spider-Man, since Spider-Man was a part of the MCU, like, do the Eternals exist in this universe with these people? Or is this part of this whole multiverse thing? And then now Doctor Strange is going to come out. And then you think about also Loki on Disney Plus, how Loki and the Time Cops, and, it's like, what? Is this all connected? So you're trying to just like keep track, and it's fracturing our brains because we're just kind of like get to the point where we're just like, this is all separate, but I don't know. But people are telling me that the Moon Knight episode was really good, so I really I will check that out. I'm gonna check that out, but it's just I just don't know. So I mean, I give Morbius maybe like 2 woo woos. You know what I mean? Woo woo. I know. And then like it's to see somebody talk about the X-Men, like is the X-Men gonna come out? I don't know. It's like the X-Men gonna be a part of that. I mean, I would I like the idea of them all being together. Like I just like that. I think it's better for us. I mean, the entertainment value of having like all of these characters being on the screen together. I mean, that was just what was fantastic about the Avengers MCU, man. Because it was like, these are all big time actors that had solo movies. It was like, so they're big enough where they're in a solo movie. They're not a bit character in another movie, but they did that for us. And I think it was great. Even when it was a Captain America movie, here comes Iron Man, who's this bit larger than life character. He's a star in his own right as an actor. He could carry a movie, and he just comes over to be like a part of this other movie. And I think we love that. They had a whole so you have like Guardians of the Galaxy. They have a whole series of movies on their own, and they're kind of like in the Avengers too. So I love that. I mean, I wish if you go back to the 80s, it would have been great to have like if Arnold Schwarzenegger at the height of his, and then him and Sylvester Stallone and Bruce Willis, would have been together. And you know what? By the way, I'm so glad I brought up Bruce Willis. But that's my Morbius review, guys. We're done with Morbius. That's the Morbius review. I think this is some sad news about Bruce Willis. I think the condition he has is called aphasia. I think that's what it's called. Let me look it up. And it's affecting his cognitive abilities. Aphasia, that's what it's called. And now he had to retire from acting. And it's weird because even though he was making some shit movies, man, like, I mean, the last 5 or 6 movies that Bruce Willis came out with are just oof. And now we're finding out, like, why he wasn't himself. And I just want to like give him his kudos. Bruce Willis just going back to Die Hard, when Die Hard was so good. Like Die Hard stands up today. Like if you've never watched Die Hard, if you're too young and you don't remember Die Hard, you just remember like the later ones that are like whatever, go watch the first Die Hard, man. That is it's still a great movie. It stands up. Just the everyman. It's like, here's like a dad, just a regular dad being a hero. That was just a throwback to those type of days. And it's just such a great movie. And he was great in it. And he's just been great ever since. He's been in some really great iconic movies. And, I just shout out to Bruce Willis, man, and his family. I'm sorry that he's dealing with this. And it just sucks because, when you have a star like that, he's kind of like sort of in our lives. You know what I mean? Like he's just there. And even if it's a shitty movie, we're like, Bruce Willis is back. Here's Bruce Willis doing this. Or we see him at an award show, or, we see him pop up on the news, and we just kind of like, he's still in our lives. He's still around. We kind of think of him as like that uncle that we only see him at Thanksgiving. And then there he is. And we're just kind of like, there's Uncle Bruce. And now he's just he has to retire. We'll probably never see him in the public eye again. because of like what this does, because it's like a form of like, he's just not himself. He can't communicate. He was having trouble remembering his lines, and these stories are coming out how people were on set and they were like legitimately concerned for him, and I totally understand, because like as my mom has dementia, I totally understand, like, you're seeing this person and you think that they're okay, and then some crazy shit comes out their mouth and you're just kind of like, oh my God, what's going on? So I know it must be hard, and here we are just, we don't know, you know what I mean? Like, but by the way, and that goes back to just to bring it full circle about jokes and comedy. Like if we've been making jokes about like Bruce Willis's bad movies, and then we find this information out, it don't mean that our jokes weren't funny. That's just new information. And the jokes could still be funny. You know what I mean? It's still like, I'm sure that if he was in his right mind, he would look at this and be like, yeah, I did make some bad movies. That's how you'd like to think. It doesn't mean you're a terrible person, or if a comic is a terrible person because he was making jokes about this later. Or even about like, what's his name from Black Panther, the guy that died, no one knew he had cancer, but people were making jokes about his weight loss, and, he just kept it to himself. To me, he did it the way you're supposed to do it. He was like, this is a me issue. Everybody else live your life. Comics, live your life. I'm dealing with this, but I don't want to make it about that. Because then he becomes this kind of sad figure, and everybody's got to like, be like, and it's like, that's not how it should work. So I always respect that he did it like that. I always respect that he was suffering, he was dealing with it, but he dealt with it on his own. It's not our business. It's not our business. He just was like, I'm going to like do what I do. You know what I mean? Damn it, this chair. And by the way, everybody in the last episode, I did not fart in the last episode, okay? Like when you move, this chair makes, don't you hate that when the chair makes sort of like a noise and then you can't replicate it? Then people are like, oh, you farted. So, this is like half the comments, I heard that fart at 51 whatever minutes. But actually, I need to listen to it. Maybe I did fart. I was so passionate that the fart just came out. Who knows? Everybody farts. Why you gotta get on me? I'm 50 years old. I don't even have control of my body anymore. You know what I mean? So you just confirmed the fart? I don't know. I need to go and check this out and confirm this fart. Okay? I need to go confirm this fart. and then I will get back to you and see if that's a real thing. But other than that, it is what it is. But again, just to get back to it, shout out to Bruce Willis. I think Bruce Willis had a really fantastic career. I think we were lucky to have somebody like that in our life share their talents, and good or bad. And it was just, it was fantastic. You know what I mean? I see somebody asked me a question, a super chat question. Now I will respond to questions and comments right now. So, Raquel, who donated $20 to the show, and I appreciate that. Do you think the Academy will have Chris Rock host the Oscars next year? I think that would be a great move, and I think we would all watch to see what he has to say and all this kind of stuff. But I don't think he will. I don't think he would want to do it. I think he kind of would just be like, you know what? That was a moment. It still was a shocking thing that happened, and I think it sucked for him. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe by then he's over it and he could just like make jokes about it and whatever. So that is what it is. I do have some last thoughts about that too. Is like something that happened last week was that Will Smith resigned from the Academy, and I got a problem with that. I think that they should have rejected his resignation and then removed him officially themselves, so he could be in the lines of like, he embarrassed himself, he embarrassed the Academy. I think that like all of the pushback and all of the things that are coming down on him right now are deserved. It was an embarrassing moment for everyone, and so it is what it is. And so now he's completely out of the Academy, and it's like, okay. It's just like when we look back at it now and we're like no emotions to it. It just was like, what an embarrassing, sad moment for all of us, just to be like, oh man, well, it's just sad. So now all the things about their family and life are coming out, and then they haven't really come out publicly. Like, I think they're going to like talk about it on her show. but it's like, whatever. I don't know if I'll watch that or not, you know, so we'll see. And then Chris Rock just out here doing this thing. I can't wait to see if he talks about it or how he'll talk about it, you know. And if you want to see me talking about it, go check out my, what do you call it? Maybe I'll go to my Instagram right now and play. I think I can. I think I can play the clip on here for you guys, me talking about this thing. I had it on my I have it on my Instagram. Yeah, so let's see. Let's go to screen cap. There it is. And then this is your boy Erik Griffin talking about this. Wait, let's see.
The way people get mad about it, they act like Chris Rock came out and he was like, "You old ugly bald bitch." That's how people talking about this little innocuous dad joke that he did. He just said, he just said, "Oh, see you in G.I. Jane 2." Then he went, "Ah," That was like a pull my finger joke. And this motherfucker went crazy. Like he was like, "Look at this old ugly black bald stupid bitch in the front row." That's what they acting like. People are like, "Well, you don't talk about another man's wife." What the fuck are you talking about? Yes, you do when the bitch is in the front row of the Oscars. Like they didn't know what was gonna happen? Are you kidding me? Everybody's like, "Oh, when you go after somebody's family." But like that joke was a nothing joke. It was nothing, right? It was nothing. And what did he do? He compared her to a female hero. Woo! How dare you? Demi Moore must feel like shit, huh? Demi Moore's like, "Oh, you mean being compared to me is a vile thing?" Like, what the fuck are we talking about? What kind of soft bullshit is this that somebody goes crazy like that? Well, she has a medical condition. A medical condition? Like the bitch was on a ventilator and she had an IV drip in the front row. Like, she was like, and Chris Rock was like, "Oh, look at this sick bald bitch." Compared it to a G.I. Jane, a female hero. He could have said Gollum, you know what I mean? Like it could have been an actual insult. "Oh, can't wait to see you in the next Lord of the Rings, you ugly bald bitch." Then yeah, if he does that, yeah, maybe you go after the motherfucker. But a dad joke? What's wrong with these motherfuckers? Some soft shit, man.
Yeah, so that was me. So make sure you go to my Instagram. I'm putting up more comedy. Oh, by the way, yeah, so that actually, since we watching my comedy to end the show, let's, actually, I don't want to, you know what? I can't even play that because I might get, what's funny is I might get flagged for playing pieces of my special because it's weird how that works. But anyways, check out my Instagram. Check me out. Follow me, please. And, once again, I'm also on, make sure you subscribe, share, you know what I mean? Help me, support the show, you know what I mean? And, catch me every day on Twitch. I'm a Twitcher, so come check me out there. Love that. I appreciate you guys for being here. Thanks for listening to my perspective. We'll see what happens in the world right now. You know what I mean? But I appreciate all of you. Thanks for all the super chats. Raquel, M. Kells. We got a new member. Check. You can be a member or hit me up on YouTube. Because when I put my Patreon stuff up, I have it on here for members only. And I have it on Patreon. OMI Queen, thank you for the super chat. Misinformed, Raquel again, M. Kells, GN, whoever your name is, and Mr. Kells, thanks for the super chats. Guys, thank you for the support. And as always, this has been Riffin with Griffin, and I will see you next week. Riffin with Griffin. Riffin with Griffin. Ooh, Jeremy gave $100.
me some super chats. Oh, wait, we gotta keep going. Pick up NDGTV with $20. With $20. Super chat. Trying to get on, but you can't make going. Oh, Riffin.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you very much. You guys have been super supportive. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.